Good afternoon. I'm Paul DiRienzo, host of The Torch. On July 4th, a young African-American immigrant, Patricia Akumu, charmed New Yorkers when she scaled the foot of the Statue of Liberty to protest the Trump policy of separating children from their parents at the border with Mexico. After a 3-hour low-stress confrontation with police, Akumu was arrested for trespassing, interfering with governmental agency functions, and disorderly conduct. She faces 18 months in jail if she's convicted when her trial begins in Manhattan Federal Court on Monday, December 17th. Akumu says NYPD were good-humored and professional while she was on the statue, and she had no complaints with her arrest. She set up a GoFundMe page, and her supporters filled the courtroom at her appearances. But Akumu says that on Thanksgiving, she got an entirely different response from the cops in France, where she climbed the Eiffel Tower in a similar protest. Hoping to recreate and build on her New York adventure, Akumu took an elevator to the top of the Paris Monument but found it shrouded in clouds. Akumu went to a lower level on the iconic tower, climbed out on the steel skeleton, and began to climb. Like Spider-Man, she says. But unlike in New York, French authorities were ready for the eventuality and sent a professional climber out to grab her.
I went to Paris because I had been talking for a while about raising the issue that we are facing at the border to a different level, that this is a humanitarian crisis that we are facing, and that the United Nations, the UN, should take it seriously and impose sanctions, do whatever they do when a country is violating human rights. I started with France, so I took this issue of the children being ripped from their parents to France, because I feel like the Eiffel Tower was a nice place to climb, and it would have been easier than the Statue of Liberty. And also the French historically gave us their Statue of Liberty. There's a connection there. Not only that, I had written a letter to Emmanuel Macron, which I delivered at my press conference on August 3rd, when I had one of those court hearings at the Federal District Court. Unfortunately, the press did not acknowledge it or report on it or give it much attention. They focused on the dress that I was wearing that day, the green dress I was dressing. What do you call that? The word.
I care.
The word I'm looking for is what was described in the media. I was
fashionista or something like that, or like making a fashion statement.
I was making some kind of fashion statement against what Melania Trump was wearing on her way to a detention center. That hideous jacket she was wearing that says that she doesn't care. And my dress was more expensive. I hear her jacket was like $39. And, you know, there's no excuse to wear a jacket like that because she doesn't wear logos. That's the only time this woman wore a logo. And she wants us to believe there was nothing to it. It was not about the children. Unfortunately, I took it to another level to say, Be Best My Ass. That's a hashtag that I have out there, because the Be Best campaign also, which she invented, is just a lie, another fake lie. Fake.
So you wore this dress and you arrived at the
court hearing at 500 Pearl Street.
Right. And you then also took it to France.
No. So the reason I mentioned the dress is to bring back the letter that I delivered to the press that addressed Emmanuel Macron. The press did not report on the letter as I wanted them to. They were focusing on the dress that I was wearing that day.
I see.
Yes.
So when you arrived in Paris, did you go directly to the Eiffel Tower?
No, I arrived in Paris I flew from the 19th and arrived on the 20th. I was waiting for Thanksgiving. So 2 days later, on Thanksgiving, that was the day I was going to do my protest, climb the Eiffel Tower. I was successful. I purchased my ticket all the way to the top, but it was so foggy, I couldn't really unfold my banner there. Doing so would not bring attention to my cause because nobody would have seen the banner or seen me. So I had to take the elevator down to the middle, and at that point, climb up to the top from the outside.
So you went over a fence and then started going up the...
Yes, I did Spider-Man like when Spider-Man is climbing from the ceiling, upside down, and then I climbed upward. Once I was on the beams, and it took a while for me, as far as I'm concerned. I mean, in comparison to the Statue of Liberty, it took officers 3.5 hours to get me down. They were faster in Paris. They took me down within an hour and a half. But I had plenty of time to accomplish my mission, which was taking the banner off of my backpack, which was not easy. I was like, come on, work with me. My designer is great. Her name is Suze, and it's Suze GX Design. She's the one who dresses me, and she's the one who put the banner on my backpack in a way that would distract from security at the airport and at the Eiffel Tower. I was searched 3 times at the Eiffel Tower. They were asking me, what's this? And they were trying to open it's like a yoga mat bag that I had with me. And I convinced them, no, don't open it. There's nothing there. Come, look, feel it. And they let me go 3 times. And so once I was up there, I managed to remove it from my backpack, or the bag that it came with. And I took my time securing my legs on the beam, working up and down, because it's a 4 feet, 20 feet tall banner.
It's 4 feet wide by 20 feet long.
4 feet wide by 20 feet long. And it says, Christopher Columbus did not discover America. #abolish ICE, ICE being Immigration Custom Enforcement. The group, the agency, the federal government is using to raid immigrants' homes and degrade them, rip children from them, and put them in concentration camps. And then the last hashtag was return the children. If you look it up, I use this hashtag quite a lot.
And so you were able to remove this banner from your backpack?
Yes.
Upside down, hanging from a beam, hundreds of feet up on the
Yes,
Eiffel Tower.
yes. I took tons of pictures. I wish I had taken a video, because the Eiffel Tower was being evacuated and people were taking tons of pictures. I thought the news would be reporting it, just like we got the attention we did on the 4th of July. The French don't operate that way. In fact, the only report that came out, once I was able to talk to my friends on Facebook, one person or two brought it to my attention. They look it up and they say, there's no news of the evacuation or my action, except that one reporter talked about it but lied, gave credit to the Yellow Vest. The Yellow Vest is this group of protesters who wear yellow vests in Paris, and they're burning parts of Paris. They're protesting the oil hike. They don't like Macron right now, and they're protesting against him. They were given credit for my action and the evacuation.
So what happened when the police finally, what did they do? They sent somebody after you?
There were like 3 fire trucks, an ambulance. They sent this guy, a professional climber. They call them in French escaladeur, because climbing is, how would I say that in French? J'ai escaladé the Eiffel Tower. So the person has that title as like a climber, professional. He came full force, high speed after me. We were in and out like going through a maze. It was unbelievable. Climbing up and being inside. And when I say inside, it's not inside where the public is. This is inside where you'll probably find rats, if there were rats, or pigeons.
So you were evading him through the maze of passageways.
Yes, at one point I was able to sit down and look around and assure myself that he wasn't coming after me. I had lost him because of I used a hole through the beams. It was the size of me, my body. They sent someone it was a guy who looks petite, and he managed, maybe not through the hole, but some other ways to get closer. At that point, I was like, I'm not going to waste my time with this guy underneath here where nobody's seeing what's going on. I am going back out there where the banner is, climb up like Spider-Man for everybody to see. At that point, you could probably hear the crowd going, oh, because I almost slipped. Yes.
Was it dangerous?
No, because your leg slips, but your hands, you're still hanging on tight. You have to do one limb at a time. You're not jumping from one place to another that you slip, you fall. I was cautious and aware about what I was doing.
And so eventually, did you surrender or did they catch you?
So he catches me with my jacket, and he hangs on tight and calls for help. They all come and jump me. There's this guy, I had to use him as a tree to prevent everybody else from pulling me back. So they're yanking me. They use this rope around my chest. The rope that they're pulling me from is set up in a way that it's a knot around my chest. It's not just pulling me, but it's also tightening my chest. And then they handcuff me behind my back. They get my legs.
They handcuffed your legs.
They handcuff my legs. But before they did that, I have a way of just using my legs to kick around. I'm still fighting because I don't want it to be easy for them. And it was a good fight. There was about 20 of them. They were very vicious, brutal. This is a woman with like 20 guys, and they were brutal to the point where I thought I was going to die. My scarf, whatever layers I had to protect my neck from the cold, was now suffocating me. It had covered my nose and my mouth, and the more I was screaming for help and asking them to remove these obstructions, the more they carry on with the violence. One particular guy was so bold, this officer just pressed my head down on the beam with his leg, with his foot. And when he did that, so my neck is twisted to the one side, on the left side, and he's pushing and pushing, like just twisting my neck. And I'm screaming that it hurts, and the handcuffs are metals, and they're hurting my wrist.
You were injured.
I'm injured. There's you can see right here is a scar, not only from my wrist, where you see the swollen from the handcuff right here.
Right, there's a scab over looks like a bloody gash that had been on your arm.
Yes.
Was there blood?
Not that I can remember. I was swollen. I did a Facebook video that night, and I saw it just yesterday once more because I was talking to the Guardian yesterday or the day before. I tell you, my face looks puff, very swollen and darkened because they took me to three psych wards.
So after they manhandled you.
Mm-hmm. They're dragging me down the stairs in handcuffs, and it's painful. So painful, I'm screaming, please stop, put the handcuffs in front of me. This is hurting my shoulder. I'm feeling like my shoulder is going to be popping off or dislocating. There was no kicking, but there was that part where I described this guy with his foot on my head and neck. Oh, and also the same guy or some other guy around that same time had his fingers on my windpipe. I knew I was going to die. I knew it. And I had to think strategically what to do at that point, to use the bit of time that I had. I say, with a little breath I had in a calm and different tone. Instead of screaming, I say, "You have your hand in my windpipe. You are lash. You're a lash, meaning you're a coward. There's 20 of you, you guys, one female. What are you doing with your hands in my windpipe?" And he let it go. He was embarrassed because it wasn't professional.
Where do they take you from there?
They took me to what looks like a precinct, and it didn't appear like they wanted to press charges. It didn't appear they were interested in deporting me, pressing charges, or anything like that. They just wanted to take a record of what happened. It was questions, just being friendly and telling me how I gave them a lot of work that day. And they were trying to be friendly and just get me to talk. While there was a lot of staff, really. There were 2, 3 officers, actually 4 in the beginning, that were watching me. They had me on the floor for a long time, not letting me sit up. So I'm sitting at an angle on somebody's knee because that's the procedure. If I move, they made sure I was on that angle, which was uncomfortable. And then they became nice. It was like, "Do you want to sit on the bench?" I'm saying yes. "Do you want this bed with you on the bench?" I say yes. And I said, "Can you please loosen up the handcuff? Were you the one on the Statue of Liberty?" I said, "No comment." I asked for a lawyer. They're like, "Okay, you Americans, you're very smart. You asked for a lawyer. And now you're asking for the doctor. Okay, great. We're going to take you to the doctors."
They don't take you to a lawyer in France.
They don't take you to the lawyer. That never happened. That never happened. They did once they were done. But before we get there, they checked me to make sure they remove everything from me. My jacket has secret layers of pockets. It took them a long time. It was a female officer who found my passport, and they were able to identify me. There were business cards, so they were also able to identify the name, look up online who I was. And then there was a letter from Macron, which somebody seemed to take seriously, and I was really happy about that.
A letter to Macron?
To Macron, from me. The same letter that I talked to you about, that I addressed to the press, which was not taken seriously. Here, it seems to be taken seriously. I'm getting the impression Macron is going to be faxed or email his administration this letter, because the guy who has it is going up and down, is going to an office, is coming out. Each person that approaches him, he says, "Here's the letter from Macron, she has the letter from Macron." And then he hands it back to me.
So what happened after that? They took you to a hospital?
They took me from one hospital after another, a total of 3 places. So the first place does blood pressure, and my blood level is low. They suggest I should eat, but I'm thinking I need to be released. Then that's all I want. Either I go on a strike, hunger strike, or I get released. So I refused the bread they offered me. They said, "We're taking you to another hospital." I said, "What for? We just came back from a hospital." "Well, we want to get you more professional help, because they don't know what they're doing over here." I said, "Okay." We go over there, and then we went up to another hospital. This is just routine, or I don't know what's going on.
Did they give you things?
No, not this second place. I don't recall them. This second place and the third one do not do medical work. They call themselves professional medical doctors, but they seem to be interrogators. The doctor comes in the room and asks me, "What did you have on your banner?" What does it say? "Were you the one who climbed the Statue of Liberty?" And I'm like, "What? How? What does it have to do with anything? I asked for medical help. That's why I'm here, not to be interrogated without an attorney." And I said, "Ma'am, if you don't cooperate, we're going to keep you in this, straitjacket." So before,
you in a straitjacket?
yes, before we get to that straitjacket, that last hospital, I told the officer, there were 2 officers in the van and the driver, that I'm not going to the hospital. You arrest me, take me to jail, whatever you guys do here, but I'm not sick in the head that you will take me to a psych ward. They say, well, no, well, we need to check you in because we're leaving you there. We're going to check you in. And when we get there, they tell the doctors and the nurses that she doesn't want to be here. So then the doctors and the nurses take turn to talk to me in a nice tone. Miss, we're concerned about you. What you did was risky. You could have died. And, we want you to be well. We're going to treat you. I say, you haven't been treating me. That's the problem. You've been interrogating me, and it's my body. I don't want to be here. There's no reason for me to be here. I'm not crazy. Well, listen, you're either going to answer our questions or we're going to take it the hard way. Do you want the easy way or the hard way? And the officer comes and says, do you want done to you what we did at the Eiffel Tower? Do you want that experience again? I say, bring it on. I'm not staying here. You're taking me with you. So all of them, both team, the officer and the doctors, now gang me. They gang the legs, they gang the arms, and they gang the neck, again, with the neck. It's like, what with my neck? Just leave my neck alone. And it's brutal the second time. They get a straight jacket. They get me into a room, put me in the bed. I am secure from legs, ankles, chest, and my arms are in an awkward, unnatural position, this way, if you can describe it for the audience. My palms are facing up, and the handcuff with which they use, they look like ropes. It goes around the neck and secures the neck and the arms together. They then use a syringe to inject me. They injected me on my belly, on my left side of the belly. All I remember is they left the room, and then I woke up. It seems like I had gone to sleep. Because when I woke up, I'm not comfortable and okay with that position. It was just painful. My right side my shoulders seem to be dislocated. It's so painful, the shoulders particularly, because they were yanking me and shoving me the whole time. So I called for help. Help, s'il vous plaît, aidez-moi. And I hear, if you keep screaming, we're not going to come to you. And I'm thinking, well, I think I was quiet that whole time. Nobody came to me. And I'm calling for help. I say, it hurts, really. You need to untie this or loosen it up. So they come to the room, they loosen it up, and they give me a pillow. The person who gives me a pillow seems sympathetic, is listening to what I'm saying. Please, this is serious. I am not well. I feel something is wrong. But that doctor is interrogating me again and is instructing the staff to not listen to me. But one person listens to me anyway and says, maybe we need to give her a pillow, and just bring the pillow to me. And I said, thank you, it helps. Loosening my wrist on my left side and giving me a pillow did help a little bit. But once they left the room, without giving me medical treatment, not even painkillers, I wasn't well. I just couldn't get myself comfortable to sleep. My bladder was full, but I couldn't release it even if I wanted to. Biologically, I was not okay. I was suffering, and I was afraid. I had this anxiety that I was going to die. I'm not afraid of height, and I don't have fear in me. I wasn't born with fear. But at that point, it's not fear that I'm experiencing. It's more anxiety and concern that I'm in a state where I could die, like most people who die in prison or when they are incarcerated. So I start calling for help again. And this man comes through the window and tells me again, if you keep doing that, we will not come to you. I give it a moment of silence, and I don't get the help that I'm looking for. So I resort to screaming because it worked the first time. When I was not getting the help that I needed, I just couldn't calm myself down to relax and sleep because I needed to sleep. I was exhausted. I just couldn't fall asleep. The body was not needed me to attend to it, like urination, water, They didn't give me water at all the whole time. So I started crying. And the more I cry, the more I think of the children in the cages, the more I cry, because the children have been drugged without parental consent. Here I am experiencing exactly what they go through. And when this doctor is telling me, listen, if you don't answer my question, this is what's going to happen to you. I feel like children in those cages and those concentration camps are being told the same thing. If you don't cooperate and behave, we're going to drug you and we're going to keep you locked up. And you will never see your parents again. And that's what I'm being told, in a sense. You will not come out until you cooperate. I refuse to cooperate because, to me, I have rights. If I ask for an attorney and I can't answer certain questions, then no comments means no comments. Whether you're a doctor, well, they say, well, we're doctors. This is how we do it here. It's not convincing to me. And I'm not answering the question.
When did they release you?
When I peed on myself. I said, help, at this point, my body is cold. I have urinated on myself. I'm serious. I'm shivering. That's when they came immediately. It's almost as if they were next door listening the whole time. They changed me. And there was this man there. I said, I don't want this man looking at me. He said, I have to look at you because that's a process. That's a procedure. That's our policy. He stayed there watching me. And I changed, took off my underwear. They took all my clothes and washed it and gave it to me, dry and clean. But that's what I went through. And they drugged me. No, they kept me for 3-4 days. This was Thanksgiving, which was what day? Thursday or Friday?
Thursday.
So I came out, I think, Sunday or Monday. Monday, as a matter of fact, because Monday they put me on the bus to go to the airport. That's after I was telling them, I really need to get on that flight. My flight leaves at a certain time, 7:35. I needed to be on it. And there's no need to keep me here. All I was doing was sleep, eat. And I was not even getting up on my own because I was so drugged. They come and shake me or call me, Miss Okumu, please get up. It's time to eat. It's your breakfast, or it's lunch, or it's dinner.
How do they administer the drugs?
They gave me liquid to drink. The first time was that injection on my belly, left side. Every time afterwards was an liquid to drink. And I know one thing from experience. These people, if you don't cooperate with them, they keep you for a long time until you lose your mind. So the best way was to just do what they were saying. And if they had continued with the interrogation, I probably would have answered the questions. But the interrogation stopped the minute they came back to change me and give me the pajamas. Once my clothes was dry, they gave me my clothes. And I was able to look at this facility. It looks very clean, professional. There were other members there, or inmates, whatever they call them.
Do you know the name of the facility?
Not at all. I have pictures of something that was on my wrist, like when you are admitted to the hospital, and something else that I was able to keep. I don't know how I came to have a possession of it.
Does it have the name of the hospital on it?
It just says infirmary, and it has a number, like 1782. And it has my name, Okumu Therese. The second thing that's on my wrist is more detailed. It's like a barcode, number, my name, date of birth.
Have it?
Yes.
You can read that barcode. I mean, there might be
Yes.
some information.
Yes. And they themselves would know. I mean, if you do some digging and research, it's probably easy to find out what happened to me that day, where I was transferred.
And did you make your plane?
The plane was canceled. I made it on time. The flight was canceled. And guess what? I went back to the Eiffel Tower. This was Monday when my flight was canceled. I stayed at the hotel Tuesday and Wednesday. Thursday, I was exhausted. I was just not getting enough sleep. But I had to go back. I was Once I reported back to Twitter, Instagram, but particularly Facebook, and I had people telling me there was no news except one that was of the evacuation, but credit was given to the yellow vest. I said, hell no. I didn't work hard for this. I came all the way here to Paris to bring world attention to what's happening in our country with the immigration system. And this is what I get? No news, false reporting? Okay? That's it. I put on social media. Take this as my press release and media advisory. I'm going back on this day, Thursday, November 29, to the Eiffel Tower, and I tag Emmanuel Macron, hashtag Eiffel Tower, hashtag French police. They found me. They were there looking for me, waiting for me. So I go through security, fine, and I'm about to purchase my ticket. There's a line. I'm going through the line full of people. I get tapped on the shoulder. Madame Okumu, venez avec nous. Miss Okumu, come with us. I say, okay. At that point, I had just finished putting a description on my Facebook Live, and I pressed the button. That button went viral as far as my account is concerned. There were like 2K, 2-point-something K viewers. It was only 8 seconds. Enough to freak people out. People were commenting, what's happening? What did I miss? What are they doing to you? Because they knew what I had done on Thanksgiving. Now, and they knew that I was coming to do another climb. It would have been easier. That's why I announced it. Because the first time I had the banner with me, and I needed to buy time to tie the ropes to the Eiffel Tower. This time, it was just me, because they knew whoever's climbing there with a pink jacket that says, Christopher Columbus did not discover America, hashtag, return the children. What else does it say? I don't know if I have abolished ICE on it.
I'm sorry we didn't show that more on the show. We should have got you up the whole
Yes,
time.
that's true.
This story is so great, though. It's great to tell it.
Yes.
Okay, did they arrest you again, or did they let you go, or did they just tell you, walk you out? Or?
It's interesting. So they cornered me into this cubicle in the middle of this area where people are purchasing their tickets. And there's a woman, a friend of mine on Facebook, who flew there looking for me. No beep of me. Nobody knew what was going on because they isolated me. Now, I'm surrounded by, first the officer delivered me to the meds again, on site, this time on site. There's an ambulance waiting for me, and there's this like EMS personnel talking to me, searching me, asking questions, trying to convince me to come with them. And I'm quiet and cool, like a cucumber. I'm saying, no, why would I come with you? I didn't commit a crime. This is my body, and why would I go to the ambulance with you? Why don't you have the police deal with me? No. Question mark. All these whys, they did not want to arrest me. They did not want to deport me. They just wanted to hand me to the ambulance people, the EMT. And at one point I said, okay, listen, I'll have you take my blood pressure, take me into your ambulance, and do whatever you want to do because you're saying that's your job and you have to do your job. As long as you promise one of you will take me to the airport because today, Thursday, I have to be back. My flight leaves at, what time was that one? I forgot. So they don't want to hear it, but there's this person who comes, he's in civilian clothes, and he says, I remember you. They all kind of remember me. They were there handcuffing me, kicking me, and they're like talking about it in a funny way, helping me remember them. This guy comes and says, okay, fine, that's a deal. You go with the EMT, let them do their job, take your blood pressure, whatever, and then somebody will take you to the airport. I say, yay! Except that there's someone who says, I'm not hearing that. I'm not listening to that. That's them. He was just acting like it didn't happen. That conversation didn't happen right in front of him. He said, I'm the boss here. And we're not taking you to the airport. That's not what we do. But you're coming with us. I said, no, I'm not. So this goes on for a long time, at least an hour, until the female, who was nice, I think it was the same woman who removed the scarf for me when I was suffocating. She said, ma'am, can we search your bag? I said, fine. While I was not cooperating with the man, I cooperated with her because she was asking it in a nice tone, like I was treating me like a human being. And I felt like I didn't have to listen to them. There was no arrest. So therefore, it's like, let me go. What do you want with me? So she searches my bag, everything, and she say, oh, can you come with us? I say yes, because I figure if I'm in a crowd, then I can say, please help me, call the news media, take photos, and I was screaming. But they picked me up, all 6 of them, carry me into the stretcher, into the ambulance. Is it called stretcher, those beds? Okay. They tie me up, and everything I say, it's more like funny. I would say things like, don't worry, I'll come back. If I don't get this flight, you know I'm coming back tomorrow, and I'm coming in wigs and heels. You will not know that who is coming, because I'm not going to put it on social media. They were just laughing. They were just laughing at everything I was saying, pretty much, to make light of the situation. At this point, because it was on social media, they did not want to be aggressive. There was no aggression towards me. It was more pleasant, right? We were acting like human beings, having a conversation. There was no drugging either. That whole night, until I was released from the hospital, I was not drugged. But this is what happened once I was in the hospital. The nurse comes, tells me, well, they say you were trying to jump. I said, oh, what? Who told you that? That's not the truth. Let me tell you what happened. And I tell them about the banner, everything that I did. And yes, I'm the woman who was on the Statue of Liberty. And this is what I do. I'm an activist. Nothing about trying to jump. She believes me, and I convinced her that I need to be on this plane. And I hear her talking to the doctor about my needs, that I needed to get this sped up. But it doesn't speed up. It takes so long. The doctor comes. I'm able to convince her. They have the procedure just like us. If you're in a psych ward or hospital, they won't release you until they can make a phone call on your behalf. I don't have a family in the United States, but I did not want my relatives in France to be involved in this because they were not a part of it, and some of them may be undocumented, and it was my own thing, my own action, my own problem. So the doctor was like, do you have friends? I said, I don't have friends, but look, if you look at my social media account, especially Facebook, people are talking, they know what's going on. And she does that. She said, okay, give me 1 minute. Attendez, s'il vous plaît. And she goes and looks it up and releases me right away. My Facebook friends, whoever was talking, got me released that last time. And the nurse calls the car service for me. Even when the cab was late, waiting at the wrong location, he was on the phone calling them back and instructing them to where the location was and telling them that I have a flight, there's this woman here, she has to catch a plane. And I got on the cab. Unfortunately, while I was on time, but there was nobody there, the staff to register me. They had already left. The plane was there. I still had like 45 minutes to an hour, but the registration was closed.
So you missed the flight?
Yes.
When did you leave? How long when was the next flight after that?
8 o'clock in the morning, the next night.
You spent the time in the airport?
No, I was so tired, and I didn't even sleep in my own hotel, but I had to be in a hotel to take a shower, be comfortable. I just couldn't close my eyes. But I slept on the plane on my way back here. I have to mention that the flight that I took, TAP, T-A-P, it's a Portuguese flight. They are the most professional I've ever seen. They made everybody comfortable. They pick up trash. They come and give you water and ask you, they wake you up. I was sleeping the whole time. They woke me up to feed me. Compared to Norwegian, they don't say, they tell you, they just forget about you. First you have to buy your own food. Well, that's just a bunch of details. I just mean that I slept and I ate well and I was well rested.
When did you arrive back in New York?
Friday evening.
Okay. So you've just been back. Today is what, Tuesday? So you've only been back a few days.
Yes, and I've been busy. This morning I went to housing court because my landlord was trying to evict me, but I won this case. Yay. Thank you.
Was it all worth it?
It was because, people were talking about the children. They're talking about what's happening at the border. Every time my name comes up, it's in relation to these concentration camps, to this zero tolerance policy. So what I'm teaching people, based on what I am learning myself from my friends who are sharing news articles to me, is the Trump administration, although was ordered by the judge to return all children to their parents, although they managed to do a big portion of it, at least 500 children were not reunited with their parents because a lot of those parents had already been deported or were too afraid to show up and claim their children. So I don't know whatever happened to those 500 children. But now they've changed, the Trump administration has changed that policy that they call zero tolerance policy on immigration and called it something else. It doesn't have a name, but it has a description. They're saying they're detaining children whose parents have been abusing them. So it's like, how on earth they're even coming up with these statistics? Are they going to these parents' country of origin to look at the records of abuse? They're just making things as they go, and people don't know what appears to be the Florence Settlement Act, right? During the Obama administration, a judge came up with this thing called a settlement, Florence Settlement. It means that the Immigration Enforcement Agency the Immigration Custom Enforcement could only detain, or HHR, what is it called?
Health and Human Resources, something like that.
Right. They could only detain families for 20 days, no more. Trump tried to abolish that so he can detain families indefinitely. So there's a lot going on that people don't know. They think it's a process, immigration process, or that it's a law, but it's not the law, it's a policy, which means Trump can change it. He can reverse it and be more humane instead of being cruel and inhumane. What's happening is an atrocity. It's apprehensible. I have not been able to sleep since the 4th of July, actually since April when this policy came about. Remember when Jeff Sessions came out talking about we're going to deter people from coming to our country by ripping children from parents. And then the reporting, some news media will report, well, children are coming here in mass on their own. It's like, get it straight. We're not stupid. We know it's not that the children are coming in our country in mass that we have to address the problem. We know it's the other way around, that children are being ripped away from their parents, tender age children being ripped from nursing mothers, like the Rachel Maddow show was describing. Now, keep in mind, when I was in this room where I was injected and drugged, and I was calling for help and I had to pee on myself, I started crying. I cried so bad because I couldn't sleep, the pain was unbearable, and I was thinking about the children, how confined they were and how they were bullied to behave properly, unless if they did not listen and behave, they were drugged, and they were told they would not see their parents again if they didn't behave. That's what I went through that night. To me, I was fine with it. It was all worth it, to answer your question, because I was in solidarity with the children and their parents. I could see the separation and the isolation. So it's fine with me. Until this is resolved, I'm going to continue fighting, and I'm going to continue fighting really hard. Thank you.
Patricia Akumu is an activist who says she's fighting to free hundreds of children and families detained in camps and prisons under the Trump policy of separating migrant families at the border.